Okay. Go ahead and grab the mic because I'm going live now. We have some residual questions for those of you guys that are online joining us. There's some residual questions from our last talk.
So we're just talking about O.J. Simpson, the American football player, and the karma that's ensued, and as he's passed away already. But Ford, the motor company, the vehicle he was driving was a Ford Bronco. How would we look at that from a karma perspective for Ford? We know that after that incident, no one wanted to drive a Ford Bronco for years until maybe the past 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Do they still make the Ford Bronco?
They do. It's just starting to come back.
Yeah. So in this situation, it's impermanence, right? That their product is not going to be seen favorably for their entire life cycle of this product, and they're going to need to adapt to that impermanence. And that's what I imagine they did, since they're still, a business, still a company. So that's impermanence. That's the nature of the world, that their products aren't going to always be seen favorably. So now they need to make decisions to change their product line, which sounds like what they did. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to teach you guys this topic of what is merit. Just right off the bat, this is a wholesome type of Kamma that you can generate. Since you guys just learned about wholesome and unwholesome Kamma, typically I spend a lot of time here going through this, where we spend kind of like an hour or so, hour and 15 minutes talking about what is merit. But I'm going to actually abbreviate this for you guys because we've been taking shorter lunches each day. I'm going to try to get you guys to a full hour and a half lunch. But of course, your guys' questions, you never know. But it's up to you guys. But I'm going to kind of abbreviate this talk for you guys. It's a very important topic, but it's one that I can abbreviate because I think you guys will understand it pretty readily. So what merit is it's a readiness in taking the action to frequently give something more than is strictly required in any given situation, such as your time, effort, energy, and resources, without any expectation of anything in return, and it's contributing to the continued sharing of the teachings of the Buddha. So this is generosity that is directed towards other people being able to get access to the teachings, because there's generosity that you're going to need to practice with lots of people in your life, and that's going to be generosity. It's going to produce wholesome Kamma for you, but then there's also a certain amount of wholesome Kamma that you might choose to generate by practicing generosity to help other people get access to these teachings. So the Buddha talks about this in his teachings, and he refers to helping people get access to his teachings through supporting them in the community. Because as you're learning and practicing these teachings and you see that they actually work, one of the things that you're going to probably be interested in is seeing other people get access to them. So there's ways that you could potentially choose to do that. Nobody's ever going to force you to do that. No one's ever going to expect you to do that, but it might be something that you choose to do at some point. So I've created this diagram to be able to help you understand what is merit. So here, down at the bottom, there's this generosity, and you're going to need to practice the giving and sharing of your time, effort, energy, and resources with others to enhance the quality of your mind. You're going to need to do that with lots of people in your life. I see you guys practicing generosity here, where you're going out and buying snacks and food and sharing with each other and things like this. This is generosity. So whenever you're practicing generosity, where you're giving and sharing, you can ask yourself this question to determine whether or not it's merit. Was this an offering to a teacher to support the continued sharing of the Buddhist teachings, helping others to attain enlightenment? If the answer is no, you're experiencing these benefits where you're eliminating craving, desire, attachment from your own mind. That's enhancing the quality of your mind. And you're also generating wholesome Kamma by eliminating your own selfishness. That's producing the wholesome Kamma. So there's benefit in practicing that generosity. But then there's a higher level of this wholesome Kamma. There's a higher level of this generosity that can be even more impactful in the world. Whereas if you're helping people to get access to the teachings, if the answer is yes, you're still getting those same qualities, those same benefits of you're eliminating craving, desire, attachment from your mind. You're eliminating selfishness, but you're also helping other people get access to the teachings. Even if you're making offerings to an animal, it's generosity, right? You're giving in a stray dog some food. You're practicing generosity, but that doesn't have the same impact as helping an individual get access to the teachings of the Buddha. These are different levels and different qualities qualities of your practice of generosity. So there's a certain amount of your generosity that you might choose to be merit, where you're actually practicing merit so that other people can get access to the teachings. So the Buddha teaches various things. I got a lot of the words of the Buddha here on generosity and merit and what this is. There's usually a lot of them that I go through, but I'll just kind of go through this in a streamlined way. What he's talking about here is he's talking about making offerings to someone who's in one of the 4 stages of enlightenment, or someone who's practicing for one of the stages of enlightenment. Because if you can imagine, during the lifetime of the Buddha, there were countless people that were learning from him. And not everybody was learning and practicing the teachings closely. There was kind of like a core group of people that were practicing really closely, but then there were people in the outer fringes that weren't really practicing so closely. So the Buddha was encouraging people to make offerings to the people who were practicing the teachings closely, because doing so, you can see here what he's saying is practice merit for the 4 practicing the way, the 4 established in the fruit, right? So that's here he's talking about stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahant. These are the 4 stages of enlightenment. So anybody who's in one of the 4 stages of enlightenment, or anybody who's practicing for that. He's calling this the upright community, composed of wisdom and virtuous behavior. Because during the lifetime of the Buddha, you might think that he was the only game in town and only him was teaching. But there was many other people teaching, and they were claiming that it was their teachings that led to enlightenment. But the Buddha knew it was his teachings, so he just kept sharing his teachings, and he just knew that people would figure this out slowly but surely. So he referred to his community as the upright community, or the straight community, composed of wisdom and virtuous behavior, because he knew that they knew the path to enlightenment. So he was encouraging people to make offerings to his community. And he says, for people intent on sacrifice, for living beings seeking merit, making merit that ripens in the acquisitions, what is given to the community bears great fruit. What he's talking about making merit that ripens in the acquisitions, if you come in contact with someone who's in one of the 4 stages of enlightenment, or practicing for one of the 4 stages of enlightenment, and you're making an offering to them, what this means is you get an opportunity to learn and grow. You can ask that person questions. You can cultivate wisdom. So it ripens in you acquiring one of the 4 stages of enlightenment. That's what the Buddha is saying here, is that by you practicing generosity, by giving and sharing with the people who are practicing the teachings the closest, you're helping other people get to enlightenment, but you're also helping yourself, that you're coming in contact with someone that you can get the wisdom of how did they get to enlightenment, or how did they get to the 1st or 2nd or 3rd stage of enlightenment. So that's what he means when it says your merit ripens in the acquisitions, because you're practicing to give and share with the people who are practicing the teachings the closest. But then when he says, what is given to the community bears great fruit, what he means by this is that whenever a teacher is accepting offerings from students, they should be using a certain portion of that for their own life and to sustain their life, like food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and things like this. But you should notice things coming back to the community, right? The teacher shouldn't just be taking a bunch of money or resources and shoving it in their pocket. They should actually be doing things for the community, like giving classes and retreats and help. There should be a nice center for people to come and learn and grow and develop. You should see these offerings coming back to the community. There's been situations where this hasn't been the case here in Thailand, and the Thai people take it very seriously. There was a situation several years ago where there was an ordained practitioner who was collecting donations from the public, and they were posting all over Facebook and Instagram that they were buying Gucci bags and Fendi sunglasses and riding around in a chartered private airplane and stuff like this. And the Thai people found out about it because it was all over Facebook and stuff like this. And they actually issued an arrest warrant for this person, and the police went to go arrest them, and they escaped and they ran away to America. So they put a Interpol warrant out for this person, and they had the American police arrest them. They arrested him in California. They extradited him back to Thailand. He went through the court system. He was found guilty of fraud because he was taking this money and enriching himself, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison for this, right? So the Thai people take this very seriously, right? So if you're doing things with the Buddha's teachings, the Thai people know how they should be practiced, that it's not about enriching yourself. It's about helping other people. So what you should see if you're ever choosing to support someone is that they're providing opportunities for people to learn and grow and develop. And the Buddha taught to be wise about who you make offerings to. He gave you some basic guidance that you're going to see here in a minute. But one of the things that he shared is he said, observe the quality of the individual's mind, right? He knew that an unenlightened being who's just getting on the path to enlightenment, they're not going to necessarily be able to tell whether someone's enlightened or unenlightened. But he gave you some kind of shortcut ways to see whether somebody's actually practicing the teachings closely or not. He talks about observing the quality of the person's mind, that if they have a muddled mind, meaning they're lacking concentration, that this person is most likely not practicing the teachings very closely. Because for someone who's practicing the teachings closely, they would have eliminated the pollution out of their mind, or at least significantly reduced it, and you would see that they would speak with clarity and focus and concentration. They would be able to speak with ease about the teachings of the Buddha. So if you're interacting with someone whose their mind is muddled and they're stumbling and having difficulties getting words out about the teachings, then their mind isn't very clear. And the Buddha is saying this person hasn't practiced the teachings very closely, so it wouldn't be wise to support that individual. Or if you saw somebody, say, drinking drugs or drinking alcohol or using drugs, or they were gambling, or they were, smoking, not that, of course, household practitioners sometimes smoke, but as a teacher, if you're teaching the path to enlightenment, but this person is using profanity and being abusive to dogs or animals or gambling and all these kinds of things, if you're providing support for that person, you're supporting those kinds of things. So the Buddha taught you to make the wise decisions about everything in your life, including the places that you support. So you're not interested in judging other people and looking down on them, but you would like to wisely look at where are you supporting. If you're choosing to support a particular center or teacher, you would like to be sure that your offerings are going to a place that they're going to actually help other people, that you're not supporting gambling, using drugs and alcohol, things like this. So the Buddha teaches you to do those kinds of things. When he teaches about generosity, he's teaching that this is helping you to eliminate craving, desire, attachment in your mind. He talks about it as eliminating the stain of selfishness, because with craving, desire, attachment in the mind, there's going to be a certain level of selfishness where the mind's not interested in sharing. So he describes practicing generosity in all directions in order to eliminate this selfishness. And then he also talks about helping to support the teachings of the Buddha to come into the world. Now remember, the Buddha wasn't trying to enrich himself. He was a prince destined to become a king. He was the heir to the throne, right? So he was in a very rich royal family. So he didn't step away from that and then start teaching generosity in order to enrich himself. In fact, during his lifetime, he wouldn't even accept items of material wealth. So he wouldn't accept gold and silver, for example. That was the currency at the time. He wouldn't accept that. People would sometimes offer him land. He wouldn't accept the land. He wouldn't accept animals. He wouldn't accept slaves and servants and things like this. People would offer to him. He would only accept food, clothing, shelter, and medical care, right? Nowadays, we do need to accept a little bit of financial support because we have to pay for electric and water, and we have to buy meditation cushions and things like that. But during his lifetime, he didn't even accept any of that stuff. So when he was teaching generosity, he was teaching it because he knew that's what people needed to do in order to be able to train their mind to let go. So he wasn't trying to enrich himself. He was helping you to be able to eliminate this stain of selfishness. And for somebody who's choosing to practice the giving and sharing and practicing generosity towards the support of the teachings of the Buddha, it's also helping them to overcome a certain amount of doubt, right? If you have doubt about these teachings, you're probably not going to be interested in supporting them. And if that's where someone's at, then fine, that's where they're at. But over time, as you start seeing the improvement to the condition of your mind, you start seeing the depth of the wisdom that the Buddha's teachings really have, and it's been beneficial and helpful for your life, you might decide that you would like other people to get that benefit as well. So for 2,500 years, from the life of the Buddha until now, people have slowly but surely been practicing generosity to be able to help his teachings come into the world more and more. Where we're at right now, everything you see around you is a donation of some sort. including the land that we're sitting on. At one time, this land would have been owned by a Thai person, and somebody had enough value and benefit from the teachings of the Buddha, and they said, hey, I would like to give this away so that people can build a temple, and then other people can benefit from learning his teachings. So this land was donated, and then slowly but surely, people donated resources to build the buildings. This temple's been here over 500 years. This particular building has only been here since 1972, but then this building was built, right? Slowly but surely. Everything you see around you, at one time this room was really run down and dilapidated, and over time people have decided to contribute to be able to make it what it is today. We actually went through a complete remodel about 5 or 6 months ago, where a bunch of students came together and they contributed to be able to support the remodeling and refurbishing of this room. But even before that, there were things going on. Like I would be teaching and I had this really old beat up projector. People could barely even see the projected visual aids. And someone was like, hey, I'd like to get you a new projector. Can I buy you a new projector? And I was like, sure. So there was a new projector that was purchased so that you guys could have access to it. And that person had found benefit even in what I was doing up to that point. And they were like, hey, I would like other people to benefit more. And then people purchased other things, right? Like this sound system that I'm using, and the carpets and the meditation cushions and the water and everything you see here. It's all been donated by somebody who found benefit in the teachings, and they were interested in supporting other people to get that benefit. So this nice, wonderful environment that you guys are in, it hasn't always been like this. When I first started teaching here, there wasn't even air conditioning here, right? We would be in here 45 degrees outside. I'd be sitting here meditating, and I could feel the sweat rolling under my shirt. I could feel it rolling down my body. I wasn't doing anything but just sitting here and meditating, right? So slowly but surely, people have contributed to make this place even better. So that's what the Buddha's talking about, how whatever is given to the community bears great fruit, because now you have this wonderful place to be able to come and learn and grow. And this is people who have seen benefit in the teachings, and they were interested in having other people get access to them. So everything you see around you was contributed by somebody at some point. There's a big misunderstanding related to merit that you will see here in Thailand and other places as well. There's people that think that if you practice merit and you're making generous offering, that whatever benefit you're receiving, you can transfer that to somebody else. And this just isn't possible, because you understand the natural law of Kamma a little bit now when we were just talking about it. You understand merit is a type of wholesome Kamma. You can't transfer your Kamma to somebody else. What people think is, like, say mom or dad have done unwise things all throughout their life and now they've died. I can go to the temple, make a bunch of offerings, and I can transfer the benefit to mom and dad. They're my dead relatives. This isn't actually true. If you go to an ordained practitioner, more likely than not, if you make an offering, they're going to gesture for you to get this little urn of water. And then as you're pouring this little urn of water out, they're going to be chanting, and they're thinking that you're transferring the benefit of your merit to somebody else. But if you understand what the benefit of your merit is it's enhancing the quality of your mind. It's helping you eliminate craving, desire, attachment. It's training your mind to let go. You can't transfer that to anybody else. So this is a misunderstanding that you will see in many parts of the world. There isn't any rites, rituals, ceremonies, or worship in the teachings of the Buddha. There's nothing mystical or magical. You can't transfer the benefits of what you're doing to somebody else, but you can make the teachings available for somebody else to benefit from. So if you ever decide to make an offering to somebody, this is what the Buddha talks about how to make an offering. He talks about this is what purifies the offering. He gives 3 criteria for the donor. He says that the donor should be joyful before giving, they should be calm and confident while giving, and they should be joyful after giving. Essentially what he's saying is take some thought and put some thought into any kind of offering that you're going to make, and be joyful about what it is that you're offering. And then while you're making this offering to this person, be joyful and be confident and be calm, right? And now after you make the offering, still be joyful. If you get to the end of your offering and you're like, oh my gosh, I gave too much. Why did I give so much? Now I can't pay the rent. I can't buy the food that I need to buy. This is like buyer's remorse, right? Like you're having remorse because you didn't put thought into what it was that you were giving. So you're going to need to be joyful after giving. But also you can get to the end of your offering and you can be like, why didn't I give more? I'm so selfish. Why didn't I give more? Oh man, I should have done this. I should have done that, right? So you're going to need to make sure that you're not having remorse at the end of your offering. The Buddha teaches you to be joyful. So you're going to need to put some thought if you ever decide you're going to support somebody of who you're making the offering to, and then also how you make the offering, that your mind is joyful, because you even need to practice generosity from the middle way. If you were giving extensively to everybody around you, you wouldn't have the basic needs that you need in order to support your life. But if you were never giving and practicing generosity with people, your mind would be quite selfish. So you need to find the middle way, even with something like generosity. And then in terms of the person to give to, the Buddha says that it would be wise to give to someone who's free of craving, anger, and ignorance. If someone's free of craving, anger, and ignorance, they're enlightened. You're not going to see any longing or yearning. You're not going to see any anger, frustration, hostility, bitterness, things like this, resentment. You're not going to see a lack of wisdom. When you ask questions, or if you're interested in knowing the teachings of the Buddha, they would have deep wisdom to be able to help you in understanding what his teachings are. Or somebody who's practicing for the removal of this, you can see that they're in the process of getting to that point. Right? So this is what the Buddha says purifies the offering, is having the donor practice these things and having the recipient practice these things. Okay? When the Buddha was asked at one point about his teachings, someone asked him, like, can you just boil all of this down for me? Like, what would be wise for me to practice on a day-to-day basis? There's the Eightfold Path. Yeah, there's the 5 precepts. There's all this other training and detailed teachings that you have. But what should I be doing on a day-to-day basis to just make my way to enlightenment? He gives 3 things. It's called the way of practice. These are the 3 things that you would be wise to do every single day in order to make your way to enlightenment. He talks about generosity, moral conduct, and meditation. That these are the 3 things that you would like to be doing, is giving and sharing with the people around you. So doing that every day, your time, effort, energy, and resources. So it's not just money, right? You can be doing other things. You see your neighbor has trash blown over the front yard. You can help them pick it up. Maybe they're not even home. Maybe they're on holiday, on vacation, and you don't even need to tell them that you did it. You just do it out of the generosity of your heart, right? But you need to do this without any expectation of anything in return. So frequently giving throughout your day, your time, effort, energy, and resources. This is the generosity. And then if you'd like to direct some of that to merit, you could. Then you would like to improve your moral conduct. This is your speech, your actions, and your livelihood. You got to shut down that oil pipe. If you have oil spewing all over the world, you're not going to go clean up the oil spill first. You're not going to clean up your old unwholesome Kamma first. You're going to shut down any new unwholesome Kamma that you're creating. So by shutting down your unwholesome moral conduct, you're shutting down your unwholesome Kamma production. So the Buddha teaches you to work on improving your moral conduct day by day by day. And then the thing that's going to help you with all of that is your meditation, training your mind every single day in meditation. So all of these things is what's helping you day by day. You need more detail than just this, but these are the 3 major categories of things that the Buddha guides you to be able to practice, is generosity, moral conduct, and meditation. But without the generosity to produce merit, you would never be able to learn the moral conduct and meditation, because there wouldn't be teachers to be able to help people to learn these things. So you like to practice some amount of generosity as you're going throughout your day. And the same thing with generosity is the same thing with meditation, that frequency is more important than the amount. Right? So if it's a matter of 1 meditation for 30 minutes or 2 for 15, go for the 2 for 15. And it's the same thing as if it's a matter of giving $500 to that orphanage once a year or doing $1 a day, the $1 a day is going to be much more impactful because you're having to let go more frequently. So you would like to have frequency in your generosity and your meditation, because your mind's going to get more training throughout your day. So these are the 3 things that the Buddha shares that would be wise for you to do each day. It's called the way of practice. This was a very impactful teaching that I learned from the teachings of the Buddha that is about generosity that I'll share with you. So I typically share this even when I'm going through it in a little bit expedited way. This is titled, If Beings Knew the Results of Giving and Sharing. Monks, if beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would the stain of selfishness obsess them and take root in their minds. Even if it were their last bite, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared it, if there was someone to share it with. But because beings do not know, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they eat without having given, and the stain of selfishness obsesses them and takes root in their minds. So what's this result of giving and sharing that the Buddha knows that other people do not know? It's enlightenment. It's the peace and the joy. If people knew how peaceful and joyful the enlightened mind is, and they knew that it was generosity that leads to it, they would not eat without having shared it. That's what he's saying, right? So what I would do if I was you is that, say you went to 7-Eleven and you bought a bag of potato chips and you came back and you were around your friends. You pop open the bag of potato chips, you send it around to your friends. Hey, would you guys like some potato chips? And if what comes back to you is a bag with one potato chip in it, eat your one potato chip and go get another one, right? Go get another bag, right? No big deal. No harm, no foul, right? You can share, because food is one of the things that people tend to hoard. And this comes from our animal existences. If you look at the way we tend to eat in the West, we will usually take a plate and we will load it up with food. And now this is my food, and we will tend to hoard it, right? Here in Asia, all the food typically goes in the middle and everybody shares it right from the very beginning. Because some households here in Asia, they don't have enough resources for everybody to be full at the end of this meal. So they put all the food in the middle, and then you take 2 or 3 spoonfuls and you put it on your plate. You eat your little 2 or 3 spoonfuls, and then you take another 2 or 3 spoonfuls and you put on your plate. You eat a little bit. So at the end of this meal, we've all kind of eaten together and nobody's hoarded the food. And at the end of this meal, everyone might not be full, but we've all had a little bit of food, right? And we've shared, right? So you guys can implement this in your life too, that you can share in different places. Even if other people are hoarding their food, you can choose to share. So when I go out to restaurants with people, what I tend to do is I order whatever meal I'm going to have, and then I order a separate item that I know that I'm going to share, right? I might order like an appetizer that I know I'm going to share with other people, because maybe it's a soup that you can't really easily share with other people. So you normally will order another item that I can then share with other people. So you might decide to do these kinds of things, or maybe you decide to buy the lunch for that person, right? That's a way to share too. So you can give and share not just your food, but other things too. If you're noticing that, like I mentioned the other day, if you're noticing that your clothes come out of the dryer or out of the washer and they're ripped and torn, and you're experiencing discontentedness because of that, you know you're attached to your clothing, and you need to maybe share this with other people. Give it away. Give away some clothes to people, or have people wear it and just share it with them, and maybe they're going to give it back to you when they're done with it, right? This is a great way to practice generosity and train the mind to let go. Maybe your jewelry or your finances or your home, maybe you let people come and stay in your home, like friends or family or people like this, right? So you would like to be able to give and share, and this is going to make sure your mind's not attached to something. I'm going to skip over this one. Here's one from the Buddha. He says, gifts of the teachings is superior than gifts of material things, right? So here, if you read this, what he's saying is that this is the most supreme gift that you could ever give, is the teachings, right? The way that I think about this is that you could give your parents or your brothers and sisters a material gift. Maybe you buy your parents a house or a car or something like this. Wow, such a big, huge gift. What the Buddha says is that pales in comparison to giving the gift of the teachings, because giving the gift of the teachings is to help someone get to peace and joy, where they never have to experience anger and sadness and frustration ever again. So that's why we started training my son when he was an infant, because we knew like this was the best thing we could ever give to him, is the ability to get to peace and joy for the rest of his life. I can give him toys. I could give him shoes or clothes or whatever. I could take him to football and let him play football, but all of that pales in comparison to being able to get the wisdom to train the mind to experience the peace and joy of the enlightened mental state. So if you had a button where you could press this button and your family would be angry and bitter and harsh for the rest of their life, or you could press this button, B, where they would be peaceful and joyful the rest of their life, which button would you press, A or B? B. It's a no-brainer, right? So you can't press a button, unfortunately, right? We can't press a button and our family instantly become peaceful and joyful. But we can make the teachings available for people to be able to access them. And that's what merit does, is it helps them to be available. And the Buddha is saying that this is the very best gift that you could ever give to anybody. So then lastly, just summing up this topic, the Buddha talks about mutual support between monks, Brahmins, and householders. Let me first explain what a Brahmin is. During the lifetime of the Buddha, and even now, there's individuals called Brahmin. These we might refer to as Hindu priests, that they were taught during this time frame that there was a very strong caste system in place in Northeast, what we refer to as Northeast India, where you were born into a certain family. And about 15% of society are what was considered Brahmin. These were like holy people. And if you were born into this family, you were immediately considered to be holy. And now you had the ability to perform rites and rituals and ceremonies of worship for everybody else. And 85% of the population were taught that you can't improve your life. If you were going to improve your life, you had to go visit these Brahmins, and they were going to do rites, rituals, ceremonies, and worship for you, and then your life was going to get better. And then there was a fee involved, and these people would pay the Brahmin for a certain service or a certain ceremony or worship. So this kind of bred corruption. So people would come to the Brahmin, do a certain ceremony, pay a certain fee, and then they would go home and their life was supposed to get better. But now it's not getting better, so they would come back for another service, another ritual, another ceremony, and they would say, oh, the price has gone up. And they're like, why? Well, because I said so. Right? And then now this person can't do anything. They were convinced that they couldn't improve their life. They had to pay this fee in order to be able to get this ritual to make their life better. So the Buddha knew that this wasn't true. This isn't the way that the world works, that it's your wisdom and your decisions that determine whether you're a holy person or a wholesome person. It's your decisions that lead to improvement in your life. So the Buddha was teaching this natural law of Kamma, of cause and effect and wise decision making. But these Brahmin were still going on. They were still doing their thing, and they would teach a certain amount of wholesome moral conduct, but they were still doing these rites, rituals, ceremonies, and worship. So sometimes the Brahmin would come to the Buddha and they would actually learn from him. They would be his students. So here he's saying, monks, Brahmins and householders are very helpful to you. They provide you with the requisites of robes, alms food, lodgings, and medicines in time of sickness. And you monks are very helpful to Brahmins and householders as you teach them the teachings that are good in the beginning, the middle, and the end, with the correct meaning and wording. And you proclaim the spiritual life in its fulfillment in complete purity. Thus, monks, this spiritual life is lived with mutual support for the purpose of crossing the flood and making a complete end of discontentedness. So what he's saying is there's this mutual support between students and the people who are sharing the teachings, that if people need help, then there should be people in the community that are willing to share those teachings. And then if those people are getting benefit, they might decide to help the teachings reach other people. So whether someone ever chooses to do this kind of thing or not, it's up to them. But this process of mutual support has been in place ever since the lifetime of the Buddha, where what the Buddha teaches is that teachers should share without any expectation of anything in return with their students, because that's the way these teachings need to be shared. Whereas if I put like a price tag on these courses, if I had like $1,000 for a 1-week course, well, right away, the most disadvantaged people who we could say probably need these teachings more than anybody, they would be priced out. They wouldn't be able to get access to these teachings because they don't have the income to be able to afford that kind of thing, right? So a teacher who understands the path to enlightenment would understand that their students are going to need to practice generosity in the world, and they would need to teach them that. And they would know that there's disadvantaged beings out there right now that are struggling in the world, that don't have the resources to pay an enormous amount of fees for a course to learn how to improve their life. So a teacher functions functioning with loving kindness and compassion wouldn't put a price tag on their courses or their help, or they wouldn't have an expectation of that. They would just help anybody and everybody without any expectation of anything in return. And that's what the Buddha taught us to do. That if we were to say, do a job on the side, like if I had a business on the side, I wouldn't be able to be of service to the student community as if I was fully invested in helping the students. So he created this mutual support where the teachers are helping the students and the students are helping an individual to be able to share the teachings in the world. So whether somebody ever chooses to do this or not, it's a choice for them to make. I need to teach you this topic because this is part of the path, is like learning how to practice generosity and helping other people to be able to get access to the teachings by supporting them. But just understand that I only share this because this is a topic that you need to learn in order to make your way to enlightenment. But there's never an expectation from me that you would or wouldn't support the things that I do. I'm pleased to help you no matter what. I have no expectation that you will ever support me in any way. And I support countless people all over the world. There's people who do support me and who help me to be able to share the things that I share. But then, of course, there's people that will never support what I do. But I'm still able to help those people regardless because I don't have an expectation of what they should or shouldn't be doing for me. There's people like in remote villages in Africa that they've told me that they only make $50 a month, and that's how much they live on. And they're learning my teachings. There's people that are like on islands off the coast of Africa that have sent me emails and said, hey, David, I don't even have a library on my island, but I have access to the internet and I was able to download your books and learn with the Buddhist teachings. And I'm so appreciative that you made that available for me, right? So these are things that I'm able to do because there are some people that are able to support me, but I never expect any kind of support from anybody. I'm just here to help you guys to learn and grow and develop on the path. But I would like to take a moment to just thank you if you have supported me in any way. Like some of you clean the temple, you clean the bathrooms, you sweep the floor outside. This is a help to be able to help the community to be able to have a nice place to come and learn. Some people offer me food and snacks and allow me to sustain my life through eating food. I appreciate that. Some people offer financial support. I really appreciate that. So I'd like to just take a moment to say thank you to anybody who's helping me, or maybe you're interested in helping. Just thank you for your support, but don't ever think that there's an expectation from me that you will do that. You're welcome to support what I do, but you're never obligated to do so. And my support of you isn't contingent on anything. I'm here to support you with unconditional love and help you to be able to learn and grow and develop to be able to make your way to enlightenment. But this is part of the path, and this is what the Buddha taught because it helps other people to be able to get access to the teachings. And if it wasn't for the support of students, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. Because this classroom, for example, doesn't belong to me. It's not my classroom. This is a part of a temple complex. And right now, I'm kind of responsible to take care of it, and that's what I've chosen to do. But I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. You know, there's students who come and help me, and they just choose to do it out of their own kindness of their heart and practicing generosity. So I just like to thank everybody for anything that you do to support what I'm doing here. And just know that I will always support you no matter what. So this is the topic of merit. It's generosity that you're practicing in order to help other people get access to the teachings. And there's many ways to be able to do this. It's sharing your time, effort, energy, and resources more than is strictly required in any given situation without any expectation of anything in return. And if you ever choose to practice something like this, it's up to you to decide that. So do you guys have any questions on what is merit? Or should I say, what are the questions? Let's see. All right. Let me flip around here and see if we have any questions. Okay. I don't see any questions anywhere. Okay. So now I'm going to move on and teach you guys continued support on the path to enlightenment. Because beyond this course, you're going to need support. Nobody's going to get to enlightenment in 5 days, right? It's going to take you time, gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. So there's opportunity for you to continue to learn and grow on the path. There's books, audiobooks, videos, podcasts, and quizzes. These are all available to you at no cost, and they're accessible from our website. So you're welcome to find those. And if you're ever having challenges to find them, you can reach out and let me know, and I'll help you to be able to find them. There's in-person and online classes, courses, and retreats that you can take week, either here at the temple, or you can take them through joining the live stream or watching recordings and things like this. I also travel because sometimes students will invite me into their community, and you'll see me in different places. I went to Mexico last year. This year I went to the USA. Next year I'm going to the USA as well. Sometimes students invite me to come into their community. And as I do that, it's always available at no cost. Whenever I organize something like this and someone invites me to come to teach, I make sure that it's being offered at no cost. So wherever you see me teaching, it's always available. You're always welcome to come learn. And sometimes those places we live stream as well. So you can always have access to classes, courses, and retreats. And it's all accessible from our website. We have 2 ongoing programs that are in person and online. There's the group learning program, which actually is just now restarting. It's every Sunday and Wednesday, just about an hour and a half each day, where on Sundays, I go through this book chapter by chapter by chapter. And this Sunday, we're going to be teaching the wisdom section of the Eightfold Path because we just restarted from the very beginning. So it's an ideal time to get into this program. Whether you're here or whether you join online, I'm going to be walking you through step by step in each one of these chapters of the book. And over a 7-month period, you'll learn this entire book. And sometimes students go through that program more than once. That's pretty common. So you're welcome to join that program if you like, either here at the temple or online. I'm teaching it at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Thai time. And then there's the recording available if you can't make the live class. Then after students get a really nice foundation, they will oftentimes go into the Words of the Buddha, the Pali Canon and English Study Group. That's volumes 2 through 13, where over the course of a year and a half, I walk students through all those teachings. And now you can kind of fill in your framework. If these kinds of courses and the group learning program is kind of building a framework, the Pali Canon and English Study Group is kind of filling that in for you. So that's happening each Saturday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So you guys would be fine to actually go into either one of these programs. You could even do both, or you could just do one. The group learning program, that's really going to flush out the foundational teachings in a very thorough way. And then the Pali Canon and English Study Group is going to really fill it in for you. So these are both available for you. You can join these programs at any time. Even though we just restarted this one, it's an ideal time to start. There's people who start halfway through or towards the end. Same thing with this one. There's people who start at the beginning, middle, and end. You can really start wherever you like. Then there's also personal discussions, because learning in classes and programs and courses and retreats is one thing, but when you're having a personal challenge in your own life, you might be struggling with how to apply it in your day-to-day life. So that's where you can reach out for personal guidance. You can either send me a message if we're in the same town together, and we can sit down, have a conversation at a park, at a library, at a smoothie shop, at a restaurant. Some people sometimes come to my house and meet there. So we can meet somewhere. We can find somewhere to sit down, and I will help you with any of the personal challenges that you're having. As you're traveling, if you would like to meet, you can actually schedule online through our website. There's a way for you to schedule. It'll show you the time zones. It'll show you the available appointments based on your time zone. And then we'll meet in Zoom one-on-one, and you can share with me the things that you're challenged with, and then I will be able to help you from there. So you can have personal guidance as much as you like. There's an unlimited amount of that. You can ask questions and get help based on the personal challenges that you're experiencing. Then there's a Facebook group where students will ask questions, and then I answer them in there. So if you use Facebook, you could use this where you could ask questions and then I post an answer. The students don't answer you. It's only me that's answering you. If you don't use Facebook, you could also open up a profile and just put like a rainbow or a flower. You don't even have to use your real name, right? You don't even have to post anything. Sometimes people like to just come into the Facebook group, read other people's questions and read the answers that I reply. And there's a way for you to learn that way. But then you also have the ability to ask questions yourself. It's kind of like an online classroom. So these are all the different options for you to get continued support. Basically, you can ask questions in a class, any of the live classes, whether you're online or in person. You can post in the Facebook group. You can send me a private message like email, WeChat, WhatsApp, Line, Facebook Messenger, any of those kinds of things, email, or you can schedule personal guidance. Those are the 4 ways that you can get help. So this next one, and by the way, this is all available at no cost, all of this stuff. Okay. So then this is just a slide to show you the times for the group learning program. Depending on your time zone, this could be like Saturday night and, Sunday morning for the Sunday class, or it could be Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. You need to look at your time zone and see. But I'm going to be teaching based on the Thai time zone for these particular programs. Yeah, I'm just getting ready to ask. Are there any questions? That's everything.
So for the group learning program in the Pali Canon, I'm assuming that as well as being able to attend either here or online, the entire online teaching for the group learning program or the Pali Canon is available online as well, the entire teaching for that?
Yeah, I've taught these programs multiple times. I think I'm on my 10th iteration of the group learning program, and it's been recorded all 10 times. The Pali Canon English Study Group, I think I'm on my finishing up my second or third time of teaching that, because it's a year and a half each time. So it's all been recorded. Each time that I'm teaching, it's being recorded. So there's playlists on YouTube that will show you. I suggest you listen to the more recent ones. When I first started teaching, this particular content many years ago, I didn't have the vocabulary that I think I have now to be able to explain it to you. People watch those all the time and they send me messages and tell me how much they're learning. But in my opinion, the more recent stuff is more, the word choices are better, and the questions that are being asked by the students are more in depth because the students have more background and stuff like that. So I'd listen to the more recent ones, but they've all been recorded, all of them. And we also have a podcast too. So there's the YouTube channel, there's Facebook, there's a podcast. These are all ways for you to be able to take in the content. There's books, there's even audiobooks. This first one, I made it into an audiobook. Even I used to use the audiobook when I first made it, because it really helps to be able to read it and hear it at the same time. You internalize it better, and your mind, understands it and applies it and really retains it better when you have a visual and an audio. The audiobook is on YouTube or on our podcast. And the one I have on YouTube, I put in the video of the book itself. So it actually shows you the content in text. So you could be looking at the screen, hearing me read it, and you could be reading at the same time of what's on the screen. Or you could have your book out and you could be looking at your book and hearing me read it as well.
So for the group learning program in the Pali Canon, so that's helpful that it's a YouTube playlist, right? So you don't have to. Everything is sequential, so you don't have to listen to or watch one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all sequential. I've organized the YouTube channel that you'll see there's plenty of playlists that are going to make sure that it's helping you sequentially. And even on the YouTube channel, there's like little mini lessons. So like I did like a 6-minute video. I don't know how long it is, like a 6-minute video on the universal truth of impermanence. Maybe a 5-minute video on the universal truth of discontentedness. I did, so for all these teachings, I've done little mini lessons. So there's like one little mini lesson for the first noble truth, one little mini lesson for the second noble truth. There's all these little mini lessons too. For each one of the steps of the Eightfold Path, I did a little mini lesson. So there's those kinds of things too. So depending on what amount of time you have, you can digest what you like, either the long content or even these little mini lessons too. Mm-hmm.
So I've been joining these classes intermittently for the last 12 months. I think I started joining on a Sunday, and then I read, no, it was changing to a Saturday. And so I got really confused about which one I needed to attend. And then, so now I'm getting a bit of clarity around that, because I have been attending the Saturday one at 12 p.m. Australian time, which is good. But now I'm, just looking at, so Wednesdays, just trying to map in my head where to now for me and how to link into study classes and whether the link is all the same or it's a different link for the group learning program to the Pali Canon English study group.
It's always the same Zoom link, no matter what, whether it's a personal guidance session or a class or any of the stuff. It's always the same Zoom link. If I'm live streaming, which I typically am, it's going to be on our YouTube channel and Facebook. And we have 2 Facebook groups. We have my personal profile. So I'm live streaming into 6 different places whenever I'm teaching it right now. It's live streaming into 6 different places. So it'll be the same places all the time. Yep. I understand that the mind craves permanence and it doesn't like impermanence. So I just keep everything the same. So that way you don't have to worry about what link is for what. It's always the same link. Make it easy for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it is 12:15. So we can take an hour and a half lunch break because what we have to do this afternoon with I'm going to teach you integrating the teachings into your day-to-day life. That won't take very long, and then we'll have our activity. So we can get back together at 1:45. That way you guys get an actual hour and a half lunch. I don't know if we've done this yet. Maybe the first day we had an hour and a half lunch break. So now you guys will actually see a full hour and a half lunch break. All right, so we'll get back together at 1:45. So enjoy your lunch, and I'll see you guys afterwards. Okay? Sawadee Cup.